Far from the crowds and untouched by development, some beaches remain hidden in remote corners of the world. These secluded shores offer breathtaking beauty and serenity, accessible only to the most adventurous beachgoers. Join me for today's video. I'm counting down the top 15 most isolated beach on Kauai's Napali coast. It isn't just another hard-to-reach paradise, it's a challenge, a test of endurance, and a place that demands respect. The beach lies hidden at the mouth of Honopu Valley, a site remote and protected that no boats or aircraft are permitted to approach. If you want to set foot on Honopu Beach, you have to swim about 400 yards from a neighboring beach or jump from a boat and take on the open ocean. The valley itself is rich in legend. It's known as the Valley of the Lost Tribe due to the ancient Hawaiians who lived there until mysteriously leaving around the mid-19th century. Their legacy lingers, and the valley's reputation is almost mythic, fueled by stories of burial sites for chiefs, only accessible in the summer months when the tide and winds are mild. Even then, only strong swimmers attempt a crossing. Reaching it is a rite of passage, but the valley offers refuge and sustenance to those who make it, with an abundance of wild fruit like guavas and grapefruits that grow along the coast. Number 14. Lalaria Beach. Lalaria Beach on the island of Sikathos is not just hard to reach, it's almost a secret, known only to those who are willing to make the journey by boat. With no road access, the beach demands just the right weather conditions to even attempt a landing. If the sea's too rough, forget about it. No boat means no beach. And unlike most of this island where green hills and forests abound, Lalaria Cove stands alone, stark and wild, a strikingly different world shaped by sheer rock and raw beauty. The beach is narrow and secluded, cradled by a massive cliff that plunges straight into the Aegean Sea, forming a natural arch known as Tripia Petra. Visitors would pocket them as souvenirs, slowly depleting the beach of its defining feature. Today, though, it is illegal to remove any of these pebbles, a necessary step to protect this one-of-a-kind environment. But visiting here isn't a casual affair. There are no shops, no umbrellas, no cafes, and you've got to bring everything you need: water, snacks, sun protection, and sturdy shoes to navigate the rocky shoreline. The isolation here feels complete. If you're lucky enough to arrive at sunrise, the cliffs and stones come alive in shades of pink, orange, and purple, a view that's worth every ounce of effort it takes to reach here. Number 13. Paria Bay Beach. Paria Bay Beach on Trinidad's rugged north coast is not the kind of place you stumble upon. It's the kind of place you earn. To get there, you'll need to lace up your hiking boots, pack plenty of water, and be prepared for a workout, because the only way here is by trail. But once you're there, the only way back is retracing that same path. The hike to this beach takes around pacing yourself and saving energy, because the reward at the end is a beach as secluded as they come. When you finally emerge from the dense foliage, Paria Bay Beach opens up before you, stretching over a half a mile of soft, untouched sand, lined with swaying coconut palms. This remote beach is a nesting ground for leatherback turtles from March to September, adding to its untouched field. The western side of the beach features the iconic Paria Arch, a natural stone formation carved out by centuries of erosion. Standing beneath it feels like a step into an ancient cathedral, giving the spot its nickname, Cathedral Arch. Paria Bay isn't an easy spot to swim, as the waves here can be rough, but the eastern end of the beach offers a calmer spot where the river mouth spills into the ocean, creating a pool of gentler waters. Amenities are practically non-existent here, so it's crucial to come prepared. There are no lifeguards, no snack shacks, no restrooms, just you, the sand, and the open ocean. Number 12. Whitehaven Beach. 98% pure silica. The sand is finer and softer than regular beach sand, and it never gets hot, even under the blazing Queensland sun. This beach isn't just pleasant on the feet, though. It is also a visual masterpiece. Stretching across 4.5 miles, the sands seem to melt into the crystal clear water here, creating an effect that's nothing short of cinematic. The sand here is so fine it could polish jewelry, and yet taking any of it home is strictly prohibited to preserve the delicate ecosystem. Named in 1879 by explorer Staff Commander E.P. Bedwell, Whitehaven has a timeless beauty that few other places in the world can match. The beach has earned accolades as one of the cleanest and most eco-friendly in the world. It's a favorite spot for both eco-conscious travelers and photographers alike, who flock here in search of that perfect blend of earth, sea, and sky. But Cyclone Debbie here did take a toll on Whitehaven in 2017, causing some pretty bad erosion, deliberate planning, and a bit of adventure to reach this isolated stretch of pink sands. Boats from Labuan Bajo are the only ticket in and out, so don't miss the ride back. It's nestled within Komodo National Park, just west of Flores in Indonesia. The Pink Beach isn't just remote, it's also one of only 7 pink sand beaches in the world, a title that draws both awe and curiosity. The unique color of the Pink Beach is thanks to some microscopic organisms known as foraminiferum, which produce a red pigment on the coral reefs. Over time, tiny fragments of this red coral combined with the white sands, creating the distinctive soft pink hue that lines the shores. The isolation here is also part of its allure, with panoramic views of untouched green hills, crystal clear seas and skies uninterrupted by development. Here, even the beach itself appears otherworldly. The Shallows Reef hosts a dense mix of soft and hard corals, and it's home to a wide variety of fish species. Reaching the Pink Beach is a multi-step journey. Travelers typically begin flying into Bali, then taking a domestic flight to Flores Island, the gateway to Komodo. From here, a boat trip to Komodo Island can take anywhere from 3 hours on a slow boat to under an hour on a speedboat. But a more adventurous option includes docking elsewhere on Komodo Island and trekking 4 hours through coral cliffs and mangroves to reach the amazing pink sands. Number 10. McNabb's Island. McNabb's Island is a time capsule of Nova Scotia's past, abandoned and isolated in Halifax Harbor. Accessible only by private arrangement, typically with a local sailor like Captain Mike from Fisherman's Cove, the island's 980 acres are entirely deserted, with no public transport and no tour groups. Once ashore, there are no guides or structured paths, and visitors roam the overgrown trails and scattered ruins alone, surrounded by relics that have sat untouched for decades, in some cases centuries. Its beaches, silent and deserted, hint at a darker past. One cove was a site where British redcoats hanged deserters during the Napoleonic Wars. McNabb's Island offers visitors no amenities, and once there, you're on your own. The isolation both adds a layer of freedom and vulnerability. There's a beach, but unlike a popular coastal spot, this one is quiet, forgotten, and even eerie. The remains of a former soda pop factory lie nearby, which is reportedly doubled as a bootleg booze operation during Prohibition. So for those willing to explore the island, the journey through overgrown paths reveals the ruins of family homes from the few who settled there over the centuries. These buildings, much like the island's Victorian botanical garden, stand as remnants of a time when McNabb's was briefly cultivated, nurtured, and inhabited. The island does also have a potter's field and a burial site from a cholera quarantine, marking the impact of their inhabitants, chiefly a variety of pigeon species that find refuge among the dense woods in the island's center. Getting to Ursula Island is far from simple. Visitors have to navigate layers of bureaucracy, starting with permits issued only by the Provincial Environment and Natural Resources Office in Palawan. Even with the permit in hand, reaching the island requires determination. First, a long journey by ship to Puerto Princesa, followed by securing a bus to Bartaraza's Rio Tuba terminal. Then a tricycle ride to Coral Bay, and finally, a hired boat ride across the waters to Ursula Island itself. Each step of the journey adds a layer of commitment, ensuring only the most dedicated travelers make it there. Once there, though, strict regulations keep visitors confined to the beach. Crossing the sandy boundary into the wooded area is forbidden, a necessary measure to protect both the island's sensitive ecosystem and visitors from the unexpected inhabitants, including snakes. Go off the coast of Galicia in Spain isn't the kind of place you could just decide to visit. With a cap of 450 visitors most of the year and up to 1,800 during the peak season, even stepping onto these islands requires planning and official permission. The process starts weeks in advance, with visitors needing to apply online for a permission code, a quick task, but one that cannot be skipped. This code, valid for only 2 hours, is essential for securing a boat ticket, making it clear that these islands prioritize preservation over convenience. Once granted, the permission code allows you to purchase a ferry ticket from one of several companies, each with its own ferry schedules but with strict passenger limits. If anything interrupts the process, you're back to square one. Aboard the ferry, the journey here can take around 45 minutes, and for many visitors, this will be the last touch of civilization before entering an area deliberately preserved in its natural state. During high tide, the waves flow between these two land masses, filling a lagoon that lies just beyond the beach, creating a view that seems too pristine for the modern age. Rodas Beach itself, often ranked among the most beautiful in the world, is the main draw for visitors, but the strict environmental controls can make this far from a typical beach destination. The rugged western coastlines of the islands, with cliffs rising more than 320 feet, create an imposing and natural boundary, making most of the island inaccessible and preserving the ecosystem. The eastern sides, facing the mainland, offer softer wooded slopes where trails lead to viewpoints and protected coves. This isolation here has a purpose. The islands are part of the Atlantic Islands of Galicia National Park, a designation that reflects their ecological importance. Frequent Atlantic storms, tempered by natural barriers, create an ecosystem both resilient and sensitive to human impact. But despite the pristine beach and clear water, the island's rain-soaked cliffs and strong winds serve as a reminder of how the environment here still rules. Moving on to number 7, Cumberland Island. Shore stretches out in endless natural beauty, bordered by the Atlantic on one side and serene marshlands on the other. These beaches, shaped by the winds and waves, extend for miles and are often free of human footprints, offering an amazing, untouched escape. Here, horses that are believed to be descendants of domestic breeds introduced by early settlers graze and gallop across the beach, forming an unforgettable part of the island's landscape. Their presence is an example of the island's wild essence, as they're fully independent and uncontained, an unusual sight on modern American shores. Sharing the sand is an assortment of shells, including the spiral whorls and whelks of clamshells, while creatures like horseshoe crabs and shorebirds make appearances too. At low tide, the beach reveals expansive flats of smooth, packed sand, ideal for long, uninterrupted walks. The quiet here is profound, broken only by the sound of waves and seabirds. For many visitors, the Rocky Mountain National Park is a challenging yet rewarding endeavor, with the only access being a 4.5-mile hike that tests the resolve of even seasoned hikers. There are no shortcuts or alternative routes, and the journey to this subalpine lake is entirely on foot. But the adventure begins in the Wild Basin area, a remote corner of the park located near the small communities of Meeker Park and Allens Park. To start, visitors drive 12.5 miles south from Estes Park on Colorado Highway number 7 before turning onto Wild Basin Road. After a short drive into the park, the Sand Beach Lake trailhead is found just beyond the entrance station. From the moment hikers set foot on the trail, the ascent begins, a relatively steep climb through dense ponderosa pine forest that leads to the Copeland Moraine. This initial section is pretty strenuous, but it offers an immediate reward as the trail crests and the views begin to open up. The first mile is really impressive, contouring along the ridge with occasional breaks in the trees that reveal that of the mountains. The lake itself is a spectacle framed by majestic peaks, including the towering 13,000-foot Mount Meeker, which dominates the view from the north end. For another rewarding exploration, hikers can take a short social trail along the eastern shore to uncover different perspectives of the surrounding mountains, including the imposing Longs Peak to the south. This peak at 14,259 feet holds historical significance as it was first summited in 1868 by a party led by John Wesley Powell, a name synonymous with adventure and exploration. Number 5. Crescent Beach. Crescent Beach, located nicely within Oregon's Ecola State Park, is a hidden gem that offers a unique retreat into the natural world. Getting here, though, is not straightforward. While the park welcomes over 500,000 visitors each year, few venture beyond the well-trodden paths to discover this secluded stretch of tumultuous history. The South Chapman Point stands a reminder of the preservation efforts that saved the area from commercial development. In 1927, 17-year-old John Yon intervened to prevent a dance hall from being built, ensuring that this coastal retreat remained untouched. Northward, the imposing Tillamook Rock Lighthouse, known as Terrible Tilly, looms offshore. Once this was a functioning lighthouse, and it later served as a columbarium for cremated remains until 1999. The beach, though, itself is a sanctuary, a peaceful shoreline where the clouds seem to hover closer and the rocks appear to settle comfortably into the surf. The trailhead is just over a mile from the parking lot, but it requires determination to seek it out amongst the more popular attractions in the park. For those considering it, it's essential to note that while Crescent Beach remains accessible, trails leading to Ecola Point are permanently closed. Vehicle access to the beach is available via the Crescent Beach Ramp and Cub Edge Road, with a nominal fee, of course, in effect during peak months. Rules on driving on the beach? Getting here is part of the adventure. The most common route involves flying into Krabi National Airport, where travelers can hire a taxi to one of the piers in Krabi Town or El Nang. From there, long tailboats are the primary means of transport, taking about 15 minutes to reach. For those staying in nearby islands like Koh Phi Phi or Phuket, regular ferries provide additional access. However, this reliance on boat transport raises the question of how one returns, especially if weather conditions turn unfavorable. While getting stuck on Rayleigh is unlikely, occasional rough seas can disrupt service, leaving travelers to wait until conditions improve. Once on Rayleigh, visitors are greeted by a paradise of pristine beaches and lush jungles. The peninsula consists of 4 main areas: East Rayleigh, West Rayleigh, Phra Nang, and Tonsai. East Rayleigh is often considered the docking point for boats, and it's lined with dense mangroves and lacks suitable swimming spots, but features a boardwalk bustling with restaurants and shops. In contrast, West Rayleigh has the stunning scenery that envelops climbers as they ascend. The panoramic views of the Andaman Sea and surrounding cliffs create a unique backdrop that adds to the thrill of the climb. Moreover, the combination of shaded jungle paths and sun-drenched rock faces offers climbers varied environments to explore, making it an unparalleled climbing destination. The sheltered location makes Rayleigh a preferred spot for climbers, as it offers a reliable setting, regardless of the season. Number 3. Ocracoke. Ocracoke, a census-designated place on the southern end of Ocracoke Island in North Carolina, is a unique destination distinguished by its location and pristine natural beauty. The island, part of Hyde County, has a population that fluctuates seasonally, with about 797 residents reported in the 2020 census. The lack of a bridge connecting Ocracoke to the mainland makes reaching this coastal haven a journey in itself. To reach it, visitors have to navigate a series of ferries that link the island to Hatteras Island and the mainland at Swan Quarter. Oak Beach welcomes visitors with its wide expanses of soft sand and rolling dunes, offering an amazing contrast to the bustling beaches found elsewhere in North Carolina. The crystal clear water provides excellent opportunities for swimming, kayaking, and paddleboarding, while the surrounding environment is perfect for birdwatching and exploring local wildlife. Ocracoke's economy relies heavily on tourism and commercial fishing. During the warmer months, the island transforms, welcoming tourists who fill in the hotels, rental houses, and campgrounds. Among some culinary highlights are establishments serving dishes featuring the day's catch, emphasizing a connection between the sea and local dining. Additionally, Ocracoke shops feature unique handmade goods and antiques, allowing visitors to take a piece of the island home with them. Historically, Ocracoke's island is steeped in rich maritime lore, serving as the site of the pirate Blackbeard's demise in November of 1718. The island's history is further enriched by its role during the U.S. Civil War and in World War II, including a poignant ceremony honoring British sailor Marietas is as close to a secret paradise as you can find. Tucked away within a natural crater, the beach isn't visible from above or even from the water until you're right on top of it. This seclusion is part of its draw, but reaching it is no simple feat. The journey begins in Puerto Vallarta, where visitors must book a boat ride to the Marietta Islands, located about 22 nautical miles from the shore. Entry to the actual beach requires a bit of planning and luck. Only a limited number of visitors are allowed each day to keep the area pristine, so securing a spot on the beach tour takes booking in advance, especially during peak seasons. It's accessed only through a long, narrow water tunnel, about 40 feet in length with only about 6 feet of headspace above the waves. This means that visitors either swim or kayak through the tunnel, and timing their entry carefully with the tides. This tricky entry, though, is precisely why Hidden Beach remains secluded and well-preserved. The overhead opening in the crater It wasn't until the 1960s that marine scientist Jacques Cousteau led a movement to protect the islands. His campaigns against the bombings raised awareness of the unique ecological value of the Marietas, eventually leading to their designation as a protected national park. Today, the Marietta Islands are also a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, preserving a wealth of marine life and rare bird species. Dolphins, sea turtles, manta rays, and even humpback whales during migration season are frequent visitors here. people that come to the hidden beach are treated to a landscape shaped as much by human activity as by natural forces, creating a rare mix of history and natural wonder. While most beaches draw crowds for their views, Hidden Beach pulls people in for the experience itself, the adventure of reaching a destination so well concealed, and the quiet reward of standing on a strip of sand that feels entirely disconnected from the outside world. Number 1. Navajo Beach. Become part of the beach's identity, drawing visitors from around the world who want to see a blend of natural and man-made beauty that makes this spot so unique. Reaching the beach is part of the adventure and not exactly easy. The isolated strip of sand is entirely cut off by land, making boat access the only way to get there. For most, the journey begins on Zakynthos, where numerous tour operators run boat trips from ports like Puerto Vromi, Zanquitos Town, and Agios Nicolas. The boat rides range from leisurely cruises to quick speedboat runs, each offering a slightly different approach to the dramatic arrival in the cove. As the boat navigates around the cliffs and into the cove, Navajo Beach comes into view all at once, with the freighter lying in the sand like a relic from another world. The hull of the massive ship, once the scene of smuggling activity, is now a striking focal point for photographers and travelers. Its once solid frame is now skeletal and weathered, giving the beach a sense of mystery that's hard to shake. The landscape surrounding the beach amplifies its isolated